Hello teachers, welcome to the last unit, Unit 3, the reality of the classroom. Well, let's move on. Lesson programming and planning, defining objectives and content, sequencing them, and developing teaching units. The lesson programming and planning involves designing and organizing learning experiences to achieve specific educational goals. It encompasses identifying learning objectives, selecting appropriate activities, assessing student understanding, and creating a structured learning sequence. Effective planning ensures a meaningful and engaging learning experience for students. We have some important elements. Identifying learning objectives clearly define what students should know, understand, and be able to do by the end of the lesson. Selecting learning activities. By choosing activities that are relevant to the objectives and engaging for the students, allowing them to actively participate in their learning. Assessing student understanding. Incorporating methods that gauge student comprehension throughout the lesson, such as formative assessments, discussions, or quick checks. Sequencing the lesson. Structuring the lesson in a logical order that builds upon prior knowledge and facilitates the learning process. Creating a realistic theme. Allocating appropriate time for each activity to ensure a smooth flow and prevent rushing and dragging. It is important to check the time. Planning for lesson closure, providing a clear ending that summarizes key points and connects back to the learning objectives. Differentiation. Considering the best learning needs and adapting the lesson accordingly to support all students. Flexibility. Recognizing that lessons may need to be adjusted based on students' responses and unexpected situations. We can have additional considerations too. This is the contextualization, aligning the lesson with the overall curriculum and relevant learning outcomes. Resources. Gathering necessary materials and resources to support the lesson. Collaboration. Working with colleagues or specialists to enhance the planning success and address specific student needs. The last thing, the reflection. Evaluating the effectiveness of the lesson plan after implementation and making adjustments for future lessons. By being carefully, it is necessary to consider these elements. Educators can create well-structured and engaging lessons that promote effective learning. Assessment. Evaluating progress in language development. Well, so I am going to give you here another information or guide the information you have. Assessment focuses on gathering information about learning progress and achievement. And we have evaluation. Evaluation uses that information to judge the quality and effectiveness of something, like a course or program, and make decisions. In essence, assessment informs evaluation. The language evaluation assessment is a systematic process to evaluate an individual's ability to understand and produce language, crucial for informing instruction, diagnosis, and intervention in various settings. It involves evaluating skills like reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and can be used to identify strengths and weaknesses, monitor progress, and adjust learning strategies. Here we have some aspects to take into account. We need to check the purpose. Assessments can be used to measure overall language proficiency. The type of assessment. Language assessments can be formal or informal. Formal standardized tests, informal observations, or classroom activities. It can be formative, ongoing feedback for learning, or summative, evaluating overall achievement. Skills assessed. Evaluations typically cover reading, comprehension for written text, that means writing, or production of written texts. Listening, comprehension of spoken language, And speaking, production for spoken language. We have tracking progress. Regular assessments help monitor improvement, allowing for adjustments to teaching strategies and learning plans. We have the beyond the classroom. It means a self-assessment, such as recording oneself speaking or keeping a journal, can also be valuable tools for tracking language development in context of education, of course. Identifying needs. Pinpointing areas where learners require support and tailoring instruction. Monitoring growth. Tracking progress over time to ensure learners are developing language skills. Informing instruction. This is providing feedback to teachers on the effectiveness of their teaching methods and materials. And the last thing, it is motivating learners. This is by celebrating success and addressing challenges. Assessments can encourage a positive attitude towards language learning. Well, by using a variety of assessment methods and fostering a culture of continuous improvement, educators can effectively guide learners towards achieving their language learning goals. This is according to Pearson. Language level tests. Knowledge level tests assess an individual's understanding and abilities in a specific subject area. These tests can range from standardized exams like the SAT or GRE to more informal assessments like quizzes or practice tests. They can gauge proficiency, identify areas of strength and weakness, and track progress over time. Here we have some tests that we can have. Standardized tests, subject-specific tests, online tests, in-house tests. We have purpose of the of knowledge level test. Well, so we can evaluate or check assessment of proficiency, identification of strengths and weaknesses, progress tracking, admission and placement, certification, test formats. It is very important to check that we can have multiple choice, essay, practical applications, and so on. The score, it is relevant to check percentage scores, grade levels like CEFR levels like from A1 to C2, accuracy and reliability, and the last thing, purpose of testing. We need to consider the reason for taking a test and choose the appropriate assessment. Self-assessment of learning process and teacher evaluation. We have student self-assessment occurs when learners assess their own performance. We need to check that it is very interesting and important because it has several benefits. It helps them develop important metacognitive, increasing their self-awareness through reflective practice, helping them take control of their own learning and assessment. Um, it can give them greater agency regarding assessment and designing self-assessment. We have even the teacher in the classroom, integration and motivation. A teacher's ability to foster integration and motivation is crucial for effective learning. A teacher's role extends beyond delivering information. They must create an inclusive and engaging environment where students feel connected, valued, and inspired to learn. This involves building positive relationships, implementing effective teaching strategies, and understanding the diverse needs and motivations of their students. Here we have even that the teacher in the classroom can create a welcoming environment. Teachers should strive to create a classroom where every student feels a sense of belonging and respect. Promoting collaboration, encouraging group work, peer teaching, and collaborative projects can foster a sense of community and shared learning. Connecting learning to real life. It makes connections between classroom content and students' experiences, interests, and future goals, can make learning more relevant and engaging. Understanding students' needs. It recognizes that students have different learning styles, motivations, and backgrounds is crucial. Teachers can tailor their approach to cater to these individual differences. Providing support and encouragement, offering constructive feedback, recognizing effort, and celebrating success can boost students' confidence and motivation. Fostering intrinsic motivation, creating opportunities for students to explore their interests, make choices, and feel a sense of ownership over their learning can foster a deeper, more sustainable motivation. Using engaging teaching methods, it is incorporating a variety of teaching strategies such as interactive activities, games, and technology can help students actively involved and motivated. Setting clear goals and expectations, providing clear learning objectives and rubrics can help students understand what is expected of them and track their progress. The last thing I'm going to share is building positive teacher-student relationships. Strong, positive relationships with teachers can significantly impact students' motivation and engagement. By focusing on both integration and motivation, teachers can create a dynamic and effective learning environment where all students can thrive. Learning autonomy in second language acquisition refers to a learner's capacity to take ownership of their learning process, including setting goals, choosing resources, and evaluating progress. It involves a shift from teacher-centered instruction to learner-driven activities, fostering independence, motivation, and ultimately more effective language learning. What are the advantages? The advantages are the students take charge. Learners are responsible for making decisions about their learning, such as setting goals, choosing materials, and assessing their progress. Active involvement is not just about independent learning, but also about actively participating. Developing skills. Autonomy involves developing a range of skills, including planning, monitoring, evaluating, and seeking help when needed. Shifting responsibility. Increased motivation. When learners have control over their learning, they tend to be more motivated and engaged. Enhanced learning outcomes. This is autonomy can lead to deeper understanding, better retention, and more effective language use. Long-term language development, personalized learning, and the last thing, developing confidence. When students take charge of their learning can boost learners' confidence and self-esteem. Well, so it's time to go to the last activity, activity 3. You have to share your lesson plan, teacher. It can be the one you have used or you used in a lesson. Um, Remember, you have to collocate the whole elements which take us to a successful class. Okay, don't forget to upload the file. Okay, so here we have the references. Thanks a lot, teachers. See you soon.